Now, from West Tennessee's news channel, this is 7 Eyewitness News at 5:30.
Breaking news this afternoon as Decatur County dispatchers have confirmed there was a crop duster plane crash in Decatur County around 3 o'clock this afternoon. One man was killed in that crash. WBBJ 7 Eyewitness News reporter Brittany Nicholson joins us live by phone with the latest. Brittany?
Hey, Brad, officials say they can't release too many details right now, except that a man was killed in a plane crash just after 3 o'clock today. All we know about the plane is that it is used to dust crops, like in this bean field where it ultimately crash landed. It looks to me to be a yellow, small, two-seater plane from what I can see back here on the road. It's probably about 75 yards off the side of the road here. Now, we're right here on Evanstown Road, just off of Bible Hill Road near Parsons. Officials have shut down this road until further notice. And I'm looking up right now, there is actually a helicopter flying overhead, taking a look at this scene, I believe. Now, when I originally got here, the road was flooded with emergency vehicles like Decatur County Sheriff's Department, EMS, fire trucks, rescue squad, emergency management, and others. Now, deputies are standing by until the Federal Aviation Administration, better known to us as the FAA, gets here to check out the plane to figure out exactly what happened and why this plane crashed. Now, like I said, there is a helicopter flying overhead. That could be the FAA. It could be somebody else. But it looks like they're looking overhead and seeing if they can figure out what happened as well. They're flying right over that crashed plane. Now, witnesses tell me they heard a loud pop and moments later a boom. They also tell me they never saw any flames and only just a little bit of smoke. Now, we're standing by here waiting for updates on this deadly plane crash. We'll keep you up to date, Brad, as those details become available. Reporting from Decatur County, Brittany Nicholson, WBBJ 7 Eyewitness News.
Brittany, thank you very much for that report. Now, we'll have more information on this story tonight on WBBJ 7 Eyewitness News at 6:30 and 10, and at 6 o'clock on our sister station, WBBJ ABC 7. Also in news this afternoon, allegations of slow response times, misconduct, and unprofessionalism have officials investigating the Brownsville-Haywood County Central Dispatch. County officials have hired an outside investigator to look into allegations from the newspaper, the Brownsville States-Graphic, regarding the county's Central Dispatch. According to the publisher of the paper, the dispatch center didn't contact the proper fire station involving a fatal fire back in February. She says employees are not properly trained or equipped to handle some of the calls. The publisher and her staff plan to publish an article of all of their findings in this week's paper.
It is scary, and that is why we're doing the story. It was a huge concern to me. We have an aging population in Haywood County.
According to officials, so far no employees have been terminated, but that could change pending the outcome of the investigations. Henderson County fire crews responded to a house fire on Hill Wright Road in the southern part of the county this morning. A passerby called in that fire, which looked as if it may have started in the living room area. No one was at home at the time of the fire, and there are no reports of injuries. The resident of that home denied cooking anything or smoking before he left the home this morning. The fire chief adds there was no smoke detectors installed in the home, and that if the house's resident had been home at the time, he may have not made it out alive. Crews were out today working at the East University Parkway area that was washed out during Monday's flash flooding. Since work has begun on that section of the street, the main pipe of the road has been replaced. Crews are currently waiting on gravel and other filler material to complete the road before beginning pavement. Now, the road should be completed by this Friday. New this afternoon, reports show Tennessee ranks among the highest when it comes to obesity rates. 2 Jackson-Madison County schools will soon get new walking tracks. As a result, WBBJ 7 Eyewitness News reporter Mallory Cook spoke with the district and Jackson residents about the new projects.
Nova Elementary and Northside High Schools will soon get new walking tracks. David Keith lives across the street from Nova and has 7 grandchildren in the district.
There's just a lot of traffic. So anytime we can keep the kids away from the traffic onto walking trails or whatever, that's a good thing.
The Jackson-Madison County Regional Health Department presented both Nova and Northside with checks for $7,000 Wednesday that will help pay for the tracks. Northside Principal Jason Bridgman hopes to build an 8-lane regulation track.
We're going to have a great place for the community to come out, to be healthy living, healthy lifestyles, and for our student body to be able to get out and walk.
The district told me they're still not quite sure how much these walking trails will cost. The district says state funding, Jumpstart Jackson, Jackson and the PTA at Nova will help pick up the tab.
We're trying to create lifelong healthy habits for these students and our staff.
Once the tracks open, the school system says people in the community are welcome to use them.
I think we could all stand to lose a few pounds, and yes, we will probably use it.
The district didn't say when construction will wrap up. In North Jackson, Mallory Cook, WBBJ 7 Eyewitness News.
The school district received another $7,000 grant from the health department that will pay for nutrition education along with fresh fruits and vegetables. Alumni and older students alike joined the new freshman class at Freed-Hardeman University in Henderson today to welcome the 2014 academic year with the 15th annual Tolling of the Bell ceremony. Each year the school gathers for the bell ceremony with a chime to recognize every decade the school has been in existence. It was founded back in 1869. This year's Masters of the Bell were Drs. Milton and Patricia Tucker of Jacks Creek. Both originally received degrees from Freed-Hardeman back in 1960.
Time now for your first look at the forecast, and we are looking at actually some nice weather for the remainder of this evening, but it is still going to be hot. No other way to plainly say it other than it's just plain hot outside, and it's going to continue to be that way all the way through the rest of this week. Farther to the east, though, the weather hasn't quite been as calm as it has been in West Tennessee today, with only just a few clouds in the sky over the west. Farther to the east, they've had severe thunderstorm warnings and even some tornado warnings closer towards the Appalachian Mountains. Taking a look at that heat advisory that's still lasting all the way until 7 o'clock tonight for several counties, specifically around the Mississippi River Valley, where heat indices today have been between 105 and 108 degrees. More advisories are expected for the rest of the week, with the heat continuing to persist over the West Tennessee area. Just remember that light colors in your clothing will reflect that sunlight, and the heat UV index is expected to be a 9 tomorrow, so that means it only takes 15 minutes to get a sunburn if you're not wearing that sunscreen. So try to apply that sunblock if you can, and make sure to drink plenty of water. That forecast headlines brought to you by David White's Body Shop show that we're going to continue to see some high pressure build in, allowing this heat to settle in for the rest of the week, although our conditions are expected to remain dry. We'll talk about if there's any relief from the heat on the way in your full look at the forecast coming up in just a few minutes. Brad, back to you.
Thank you very much, Tom. Across the country today, according to President Obama, justice will be done in response to the, quote, cowardly acts of malice from the terror group ISIS. The president responded this morning to the video released yesterday of ISIS terrorists beheading American journalist James Foley. It's still not clear when or where the video was recorded. Foley was abducted back in 2012 while on assignment in northern Syria. Foley had been reporting from war-torn countries for 4 years when he was abducted.
So ISIL speaks for no religion. Their victims are overwhelmingly Muslim, and no faith teaches people to massacre innocents. No just God would stand for what they did yesterday and what they do every single day. ISIL has no ideology of any value to human beings. Their ideology is bankrupt.
The president also said, quote, an organization like ISIS has no place in the 21st century. In Illinois this morning, a two-day hostage situation at a suburban Chicago home was brought to an end. In fact, not a single shot was fired as 2 children and 2 women were rescued from their captivity of 2 suspects now in custody. Thankfully, bloodless skirmish began after a robbery attempt that initially left 6 children and 2 women in the Harvey, Illinois home. Officials from all across the state converged on the small town about 20 miles south of Chicago. The other hostages were released late last night. In the progressing conflict of Ferguson, Missouri, a St. Louis grand jury began hearing evidence today in the shooting death of Michael Brown. In the 10th straight night of protest, authorities report it was, quote, calmer than it has been in several nights, a night that was still met with some protester scuffles, some of whom police officials accused of throwing water bottles filled with urine at them. Ferguson City officials are now pledging more money towards dash cams for police vehicles to aid in future similar situations. Then around the world today, evacuations in Iceland have begun around a problem area for a local volcano. That's the place where seismologists have reported nearly 1,000 small earthquakes since Tuesday. The volcano named Bardavon is giving signs similar to a northern European volcano. that spewed an enormous ash cloud back in 2010. That cloud that disrupted travel for millions of passengers and cost airlines a small fortune. Icelandic authorities have posted an orange aviation alert indicating an increased potential for eruptions. Well, still ahead, the Jackson Generals are taking a swing at fighting childhood cancer. The overwhelming response and how you can help out with a great fundraising cause. Then later, you may not want to sit down for this one, see the newest innovation in chair technology. We'll be right back. We have breaking news now for you from the WBBJ 7 Eyewitness Newsroom from the U.S. Marshal's Office. Law enforcement officers are looking in Gibson County near Dyer for this man wanted on a probation violation out of Georgia and local charges as well. Here he is, 52-year-old Lonnie George. He went missing around 4 o'clock this afternoon. Marshals believe that he is armed and dangerous. They believe he had a motorcycle accident and left the scene. Marshals right now are searching the wooded area near Esquire Green and Curry Road. Now he's 5'8", 175 pounds. They believe he also may have dyed his hair white. Stay with WBBJ 7 Eyewitness News. We'll have more details on this story coming up for you at 6 and again at 6:30.
Now, WBBJ Storm Team 7 weather with Chief Meteorologist Tom Miners.
Well, our weather forecast continues to show that chance for rain dwindling for the rest of this week, but the heat is going to stay with us, and we're also keeping an eye on the tropics since normally this time of the year it can be quite active in the Atlantic and the Pacific. The Pacific has been a little bit more active than the Atlantic this year so far, but we're going to watch that low pressure system that's just north of South America that could be moving farther to the west and possibly eventually affecting some parts of the southeastern United States. In the meantime, that track seems to be heading towards parts of the Caribbean, so we're going to watch this forecast very closely for you in case that low pressure system becomes the third named storm of the 2014 Atlantic hurricane season. Looking outside right now, farther to the west, looking at actually the tower here at the WBBJ studios. We're looking at actually some mostly clear skies, but it's still very humid. 73 degrees is your dew point, and that tells us how much moisture there is outside. The higher the number, that's when we have a little bit more humidity. When it gets into the 70s, that's when that humidity is a lot more oppressive. So we're looking at actually some very humid weather for the next couple of days. High temperatures still forecast to be in the low and mid 90s, just like they were today across West Tennessee. Heat indices coming up right now in the upper 90s and even low on hundreds across some parts of Martin, Union City, and Paris. Even Brownsville, Ripley coming up in the low 100s. Covington coming up with a heat index of 104 degrees though right now. And again, that heat advisory expires at 7 o'clock. So our actual temperatures are in the upper 80s and low 90s. And around the region, it's a little bit cooler towards some parts of Atlanta and Nashville, where they've actually been dealing with some very strong to severe thunderstorms from the afternoon today. You can see that line of storms all moving to the south and east across some parts of western North Carolina, northern Georgia, and in East Tennessee, of course, even mainly east of the Tennessee River valleys, where we've seen that bad weather today, as far close to us at least as parts of Clarksville. In northwest corner of Middle Tennessee, there just to our east. So our low temperatures tonight will drop to the low and mid 70s. Another muggy night across West Tennessee with some warm and humid weather, but we should have at least mostly clear skies. And then high temperatures tomorrow will be in the low and mid 90s. So another hot and humid day is on the way, but it'll be dry tomorrow with that extreme heat to deal with. 7-day forecast continues to show that heat persisting through the rest of the 7-day forecast all the way into the weekend, when it's expected to be hottest. High temperatures could be in the upper 90s. That'll be the warmest winter that we've had so far this year, and we won't really be starting to see a chance for rain return until we get towards next Tuesday, and maybe finally starting to see temperatures cool off a little bit for the middle of next week.
Well, at least we're going to be getting out of the heat pretty quick, I hope. And
that's what we hope.
Hopefully so. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much, Tom. We appreciate it. Well, coming up next in today's Health Watch, it's the first of its kind in Tennessee. A brand new operating room with a unique imaging equipment. Dr. David James joins us when we return. In today's Health Watch, a new operating room here in Jackson is the first of its kind in Tennessee with state-of-the-art imaging equipment. Here's Dr. David James with this week's Health Watch.
At 1,000 square feet, this new hybrid operating room at Jackson Madison County General Hospital is twice the size of a normal operating room.
We're one of the first in all of the state of Tennessee to have this latest in special imaging equipment that we have, and among some of the first in our nation to have it as well.
Opening this month, Dr. Renee Hampton says the Philips imaging system is a major advancement for the hospital.
Our physicians are going to be able to perform surgeries related to various vessels as well as cardiac catheterizations.
The equipment mounted from the ceiling allows doctors to see through special monitors during vascular and cardiothoracic surgeries.
It offers our physicians the latest in imaging technology. It allows them to make quick, accurate diagnoses for our patients.
Now, instead of moving room to room, surgeons can care for a patient in one place. The equipment is minimally invasive and X-ray doses are low, making a patient's recovery time faster.
They will be able to stay right here at home in Jackson, Tennessee, and not have to go out of town to have these procedures done, get to their room and get recovered and get back home.
This advanced state-of-the-art facility will further improve the surgical care each patient receives. For this week's Health Watch, I'm Dr. David James.
Just ahead, we're talking about the Jackson General's program to bring comfort to kids in need, a program that got some general athletes shaving their heads to raise awareness. We'll have that when we come back in just a moment. Welcome back. We're talking about a very special event today with the Jackson General's program to bring comfort to kids in need. The program that has got some Jackson Generals shaving their heads to raise awareness. Joining us right now is Tanya Hobson with the Jackson Generals. Thank you so much for coming down. And you brought several hats today with us.
I did. I just brought a couple. I mean, I have about, there's 6 here. I have 390 something still in the stadium.
Wow,
so.
That's great. That's great. Now let's talk about this event. By the way, it's coming up on the 22nd, which is later this week on Friday. Give us some background on what this project is about. It's called Take a Swing at Childhood Cancer. Tell us more about it.
Well, it's our night we've put together for childhood cancer awareness. September is Childhood Cancer Awareness Month.
Right.
And a lot of us have all been touched in some way by knowing someone that has had childhood cancer. We got in touch with this group called Ellie's Hats. Ellie's Hats is a nonprofit out of Virginia that collects hats for kids that are fighting or have fought childhood cancer at some point. And these hats are given to them because they become an extension of their personalities. And it's to see these little kids get these hats and it just truly makes their day.
We've got some video here of all of these hats that you've gotten so far here on for the Take a Swing event. You know, it's a great program. There's been such an influx of great programs like this, especially for athletic teams too. How did the idea come about?
Well, the idea actually started with the Ellie's Hats thing. It was given to my GM, Jason Compton, and he just gave it to me and he's like, do what you want, Tanya, run with it, see what you can do. And 405 hats later, here I am.
Wow, that's great. That's great. Of course, with the kids involved, how many kids are we talking about and how far does it extend?
Well, Ellie's Hats is out of Virginia and they do a lot of things mostly on the East Coast. They are becoming more nationwide.
Right.
These hats can go to different hospitals all over the country. Ronald McDonald House will probably be sending some people out. Also, St. Jude's will be here on Friday to accept some of the hats on behalf of Ellie's Hats.
Now, can some of the fans bring out their own hats to the event as well?
Definitely, we would love you. We're doing a thing where if you bring a new hat, donate it, you will get free admission to the game that night.
Okay, now we're going to bring up the dates and the times again for this event that's coming up again this week. It's coming up on the 22nd. It'll be out at the ballpark. 7:05 is the time, and it's going to be a great event. Take a swing at childhood cancer again this Friday, 7:05. If you need more information, you can get in touch with the Generals there at that number, or you can go to their Facebook page and find out more about it. And the Generals taking on Chattanooga. Yeah, coming up this Friday night. Thank you so much, Tanya, for coming by.
Thank you.
And success with that event, too. We hope it does very, very well. We come back in a moment. The manufacturer that is getting a start on the science of sitting and what new innovations the chairless chair can bring when we come back in just a moment. Finally, this afternoon, you may want to sit down before you hear this one. It's the chair that actually isn't there, but magically appears when you need it. It's called the chairless chair. And, well, here's how it works. You wear it on your legs like an exoskeleton. Now, when it's not activated, you can walk around normally and, well, even run as well. And then with the touch of a button, it will lock into place, and you can also sit down on it. Now, like a chair that's not there, BMW and Audi are set to conduct production line trials later on this chairless chair.
Interesting.
It'll be working out great for concerts.
Yeah, that's true.
Anything like that, too.
Yeah.
So, well, we've had some great weather today. The hot, humid weather of summer is finally here in West Tennessee, it looks like.
And it's going to stay with us definitely for the rest of this week, even though July was so cool. Tonight, we'll actually also get a chance to spot the International Space Station right before 9 o'clock tonight in the northern sky, passing from northwest to northeast at somewhat of a low angle to try to go somewhere where there aren't a whole lot of trees. We should have mostly clear skies to get a sight of that space station later tonight. Hot weather for the rest of the week. High temperatures in the mid and upper 90s are in the forecast with heat indices above 100 degrees.
Unbelievable. All right, we thank you for joining us. We'll be back with more local news, and we hope to see you in 30 minutes.